Welcome back, guys, to your favorite place to be. Hope you are doing well. Well, we're going to be looking into a little bit of macro market stuff. We're going to be diving into a little bit of the topics that are trending today. Obviously, with these ETFs emerging on skhynix, it makes sense to position ourselves and at least know what's going on, right? We gotta at least know what's going on. If we don't know what's going on, that's not a good place you want to be. We got these ETFs coming out, and at 21% up on a pretty steep drop yesterday. I mean, the drop yesterday was pretty insane. We're seeing the markets kind of undeterred by the volatility, yet we know that people are, uh, you know, losing money on some of this stuff, right? We saw people jump in on that train a little late. We see people moving their money around. We know SanDisk and Micron, people are getting kind of pulled out of these higher positions that they've entered kind of late in the game. And we know there's money moving around. So, we're not, well, I'm going to come clean here and say that I'm not invested in any of these companies. Okay. I'm not invested in IBM. My portfolio is not dropping 20% today. However, we do need to suit up here and come on here and give you guys an idea of why these things are happening. Because I don't think there's anybody on the internet that's really understanding maybe why IBM is missing their projected sales, right? Why their business is not growing and why their earnings is coming up short. And I don't think there's anybody on here that's going to reference this to apply that to how the crypto markets are reshaping how the former IBM infrastructure once had dedicated back-end software, back-end infrastructure built out to run banks, governments, and things of that sort. I just don't think there's a lot of people coming on the internet talking about it, and that's why we want to talk about it. We're never here to sell you on anything. We don't care what you invest in. We hope that whatever you invest in, you make tons of money, or in my case, make tons of private crypto money. But we want to kind of give you a holistic way of looking at some of this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on, guys. Okay. We got this new Fed chairman, right? We want to rid inflation tax on the American people. That means higher interest rates, but it's kind of weird because I can go over here and I think last I looked is the 10-year treasury yields down, right? So it's very contradictory on what we see on the surface layer by like what we're actually seeing in the price movements, right? So just bear in mind that a lot of times things are said and here we are, the CEO of Goldman Sachs is saying that the economy is well positioned. So it's so contradictory, right? It's hard to follow it. So we just looked at the prices here, guys. We like to see where the money's actually moving. And today, we've seen a lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, like we've seen biotech rally recently, and I could probably pull up my little stock here, my little portfolio. Let's see here. If you guys are just joining, you're just coming in, welcome back. See, some of my ETF at Labu is up 325 cents per the year, but we've just pulled back. And let's see kind of what's going on. I mean, there's just so much money moving around right now. And, Moderna down 17%. So it's so contradictory, right? It's very contradictory. While up 125% for the year to date and down 70% since COVID from $449 to $671. And I know we're cherry picking stocks here, guys, and we do that on time to time because here on the channel, we have to look at. We know we're not invested in Moderna. We know our portfolio didn't suffer 17%. We're not in IBM dropping 23% today, but we understand that the complex nature of this stuff is all tied in together and how IBM structurally isn't maybe building itself out for the future. And I think they did have a blockchain at one point. I don't know if they're still developing it. You guys have to tell me. I haven't looked into that. Maybe that's a topic we could dive in more. But their missing earnings is down 23%. All right, let's give you the stock spread here. We're going to go in here and give you the full spread here. We got this skhynix. Hynix? Can somebody tell me how to pronounce that? I mean, I should know how to pronounce the second largest semiconductor company in the world, right behind Samsung. But SK Hynix ADRs got listed here recently, and we're seeing an emerging market of ETFs, an emerging amount of ETFs coming into play, which kind of reminds me what happened a couple weeks ago with SpaceX, right? Where we saw the FTX, or we saw the SpaceX stock rally hardcore because like what 5-8% of the circulating supply of stock shares were in play. We know that was driving it, right? We know the Elon Musk effect, but we also were kind of wondering here on the channel, you know, are baby boomers that are invested in stocks for the first time when they made all that money on Tesla, not a bad thing, you know, not hating on people. I love to see people make money, but were they pulling profits? Were they pulling out their Tesla stock and going into SpaceX at 200? That's what our biggest question here was on the channel. And I did a video on another financial channel I made, and no sense in going to subscribe to it because we closed it down and we moved cryptocurrency back here to where it belongs. But I did a video saying I'm going to start shorting SpaceX as soon as possible. And you would not believe the amount of pushback and comments that I received from that video with 100 subscribers, 3,700 views on that topic. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. And here we are sitting a month later, and, you know, we have inverse ETFs, 2x leverage now in play. So what are you guys up? Are you guys up like a ton of percentage points? So I don't know, man. Maybe I should start taking my own advice, I think. But here on the channel, guys, we do like to check in with you. We're going to drop into the chat, see how many people have arrived. And like I said, there's a lot of money sloshing around, and we want to make sure that damn, IBM is still dropping, guys, 25% in one day. This is like a $200 billion market cap. And we'll pull up the numbers for you to give you an idea of how how a company that has all the back-end infrastructure for banking, governments, how all this stuff is kind of playing in the back-end infrastructure of stuff, yet the stock is moving down tremendously. And how that might tie into some of these blockchain decentralized cryptocurrencies where we've seen such a push here recently, right? I mean, we've seen the poly market, prediction market. We've seen these prediction markets on Robinhood. We've seen the emerging market of, Robinhood layer 2 built on Arbitrum and Ethereum. So there are a lot of topics we could talk about. We're not going to try to hammer them in all to you, very aggressively. We rather just check into the chat and see how you guys are doing, making sure that we're actually live here. So yeah, I mean, be smart, guys, be fucking smart. Mr. Guilty Fool, Jedi Miller Returns, Ja Lee, God Gojo Anime. What is happening? So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the markets in a little summary for you today. And markets are green on my end, which is great. But we know IBM, when a company like IBM sheds, that much in one day, somebody can break down the math for me if they want. I'm sure AI could do it for you, but if you want to get really, really fun and technical with it, somebody tell me what the market cap, how much market cap got shaved off IBM in the last 24 hours. As you guys know, Wall Street Journal did an article here that, I mean, it's all over the internet. When a company of this size falls this much, it's a warning sign, guys. It's a warning sign. And the company came public. I mean, they're not hiding anything. They are issued a profit warning, citing a shift in customer spending from software to AI hardware. This has been a big topic around the financial Wall Street world, around even the crypto world, we have all been speculating that there might be a disconnect. And I think Jeremy from the Bitcoin Cash podcast, shout outs, man. I got your comment. Appreciate you reaching out. He was talking about this in a short video I think I saw yesterday, that there is some type of disconnect, possibly, from this AI bubble. I mean, it could be a bubble, guys. I mean, we've seen this in and time out. Just because they're building data centers, it doesn't mean nothing, guys. It doesn't mean anything, because what do you think they do to build those data centers? Well, for one, they sell off stock. I mean, that's the most obvious. They also, it's built into their business structure on how they deliver profits. And today, IBM has delivered a disappointing outlook of 24%. Does anybody got me the number? Can somebody tell me what the market cap, how much market cap was shaved off with this 25% drop in IBM? Is anybody shorting IBM right now? It's probably a massive position. Does IBM have any availability to, let me check here, see if IBM has any inverse ETFs. I mean, it seems like every large company has an inverse ETF now. Yeah, I mean, here we are. IBM long, IBM. I don't see an IBM short ETF. Maybe there is one and I'm just not looking hard enough. But in any case, IBM's down 25%. And it's huge, guys. I'm looking at a lot of this stuff move around. SK hynix is up 21% after just yesterday. Let's jump over here. Just yesterday, Wall Street Journal issued a article here. SK hynix stock suffers steepest fall on record. And the thing with this stock, guys, that is different from U.S. stocks is this is not a U.S. company. This is a U.S. ADR, American Depository Receipt. So this Korean company can come over here and issue stock in the U.S. market to raise capital, and I think it's about 25 billion last I checked. So can somebody give me the numbers on this, please? I'm not an AI, all right? So you know, take these numbers with a grain of salt, but I think I try to stay pretty accurate. So cross-reference what I say, but typically when they come over here and they list stock, they're trying to expand into the U.S. market and trying to wash out that Korean discount that's happened over on the Kospi Korean exchange, and that's exactly what they've done. But unfortunately, the stock yesterday plummeted, right? It plummeted. It was down 15%. And what do we know? We know that people that are riding the hot hype, retail investors that are riding the hype, they took profits at launch date, right? And then they sold. We have, you know, the stupid money. When I say stupid money, because I've been the stupid money, I know how the psychological timelines of this stuff occurs. Because I can look back at a stock and see how it occurs. That's what a graph shows. It shows the history of what happened. So do I know what's happening in this moment? Well, we're up 21% today, and we're up from a 15% drop yesterday. So I know in my head, what did retail do yesterday? They panic sold. And what are they doing today? They're panic buying back. And this is going to end up in a cycle, right? And we've seen this with other. I've talked with people. I've told people at my work. They've been asking me about Micron and SanDisk, and they made 150%, and they're asking me, Chadwick, what do you think? And I tell them the exact same thing. I say, look how much the stock is already up, and you tell me if you're swimming in alligator infested waters. And a lot of times they want to keep playing these. They want to think that they're going to just keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. Now, this doesn't really apply. You know, SanDisk and Micron kind of applies to SK hynix because Micron is right behind market cap, or right behind, I think Micron's the third largest semiconductor company in the world, behind Samsung and SK hynix. And, you know, this stuff is cyclical, guys. We're talking about the same market. So let's jump here into the chat and see what you guys are saying. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome back. Welcome in or welcome back. You're back on Cryptocurrency Theory, a time slot that we've opened up here on the channel where we deliver you entertaining videos. We try to keep entertainment kind of the front line and center, but we also try to give you guys some financial stuff that you can fall back on, because you don't need to be a financial expert. In my personal experience, what's up, Travis? You just need to have a macro idea of what's going on, and then you need to position yourself in a way where it fits the trajectory of where it looks things are going long term. And I found that you're over time, if you don't have a portfolio, you can start one. If you have a portfolio that's not doing great, you can make it better. And we try to roll all these topics over into financial markets, geo arbitrage. We try to have a little bit of fun while we do it. Jedi Miller returns. What's going on? If you win $1,000 at the casino this week, what should I buy? Well, unfortunately, brother, I can't tell you what to buy because I don't know what to buy half the time myself. Because the problem with a lot of this market stuff is that it's, if you try to go in and buy just one thing, then you're kind of hoping that that one thing does well forever. I've made this mistake in the past by focusing too much on crypto markets and not expanding my portfolio into biotech that I knew was going to go up over the last year, and it did. I mean, the ETF I've been watching, guys, it's up over 300%, and I literally was sitting here last year saying it's time to go into biotech because I saw Moderna, I saw these large biotech companies crash. So I think it's very, I do a very simple strategy now that I did from the last I've been investing for a decade. I've been in cryptocurrency pretty hardcore for about 9 years, but a decade I've been investing. I opened up a Robinhood account, Fidelity, and I've been investing for about 10 years. And what I found is diversification. So if I had $1,000, I would space it out. I would look at undervalued markets. Right now, I think the crypto market, for me personally, is the most undervalued market there currently is. I think the most recent run in privacy that we've seen, and we'll jump over to crypto prices probably next on the calendar here. I think cryptocurrency probably is a undervalued market currently where it's at. Last year, I think biotech was definitely the thing to get in on. I don't think SanDisk and Micron in the semiconductor was opportunity, simply because I don't think most people saw it. I didn't. All right. And what I've always seen in the past is the semiconductor companies kind of rallying with crypto. And that has not been the case here in the more recent times. So, past performance never dictates future performance. I don't know. I heard that from somewhere. And, it's smart to be diversified, right? I think some other things maybe to look in are some of these crypto currency exchanges like Space Station, the Gemini crypto exchange might be a good stock I would look into. And obviously maybe if you want to play a more stationary safe bet, you can always go into the blue chip stocks, right? However, I do think we're kind of moving into a time of volatility, and I think a lot of the money there will be slow moving. I like a little bit more volatility. So I like to use strategies to maximize. And one thing that I did see go in the opposite direction of what my trade was going to be, I think it was EWY. It was the Korean Kospi Index ETF. And what we were seeing a couple weeks ago, and I just want to briefly cover this, was what we were seeing was South Korea going to be potentially upgraded to developed markets, right? And I guess it was a sell the news type thing, which, short-term traders did pretty well. But what we were really seeing with that is if South Korea did indeed get upgraded, Morgan Stanley investment, there's some type of thing that changes on the back end that allows these pension funds, allows these these financial institutions to kind of unload capital into these markets, which South Korea did not get upgraded. You know, for people that are wondering, to advanced markets, it's still in emerging markets, and you know, it wasn't a trade that I was looking to capitalize more than a short-term trade, but I thought the trade would have been in the green a little bit longer. It didn't. It kind of went in the opposite direction. And, you know, I pretty much lost most of my investment, but it was profits that I was rolling over from SpaceX anyway. So at the same time, I wasn't too worried about it. And then I had half those profits in a short position that is now closed. That went up about 18%. I know I could have done a lot better, right? People are up a lot more right now, but I sometimes make the problem in my own portfolio where I overestimate where things could be going and I underestimate where they're currently at, right? And what I mean by that is the South Korea play did not work out. Okay, it actually reversed on me pretty aggressively because I was in this ETF. I knew I was buying it high, but at the same time, you know, and even if South Korea did get upgraded, we really wouldn't see that effect that I just mentioned till years down the road, like 2, 3, 4 years. We would start seeing really the 3, 4 year mark, where we would see institutions actually start, you know, investing in having the legal framework in place where they could unload capital into these markets. So I guess the moral of the story is don't get too greedy, but also that trade, that South Korea play that I was doing, where I was hoping that South Korea would get upgraded. I thought it was going to get upgraded. I'd see the spike and I could sell off into the euphoria. It didn't happen at all. It didn't get upgraded. The ETF has been going down. I'm out of it now. And I should have known better than buying it that high up. It's almost the same thing as if I bought biotech ETF Labu today, right? I knew a year ago it was a buy. And now it's up 330%. Like I said, Moderna, all, you know, like a lot of these companies, these biotech companies are down, and they were down last year more. So if you guys are understanding kind of where my head's at on that, it probably would be a mistake going in right now. And then it, you know, it also fucks with your head too, is when those companies continue going up. And I think that's what really killed anybody's perception of any type of rational investing. Is most recently, in the most recent times, is Micron and SanDisk. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's kind of my opening argument. A couple different topics, all in one slurry. Let's jump in here to another topic. Let's jump into the chat here. We got a lot of people rolling into the chat. Appreciate everybody coming in. And a shout outs to Jimmy's Teeth, Sergio Gonzalez, Jedi Miller, Z40 Anthony, God, Gojo, Anime, Jali, Travis, what's good, my dude? Mr. Guilty Fool, always a pleasure to have you guys in the chat. So, if you guys aren't here on the channel, you're new to the channel, welcome in or welcome back. Where we try to not only show you guys what we're doing here on a daily basis, but we also try to give you applications to this. As you guys know, we cover a lot of things here on the channel. More recently, we're going to be doing live streams covering financial markets. But then kind of on the back end, we try to motivate you guys on a daily basis. We try to keep you guys, your head in the game, physically, emotionally, and financially, I guess. And also we try to do this through showing you guys geo arbitrage, kind of firsthand boots on the ground experience. And then kind of what I do after I'm done doing all that is I go right back into building my business, which, you know, is real estate. I got a couple people I'm working on for leases, and most recently I've been trying to kind of build out my business on the transaction side again. It's been about 4 years since that has dwindled. So we got a lot of stuff going here on the channel. We're very entrepreneurial. We don't really, you know, have any hidden agenda on here other than to tell you guys what we're doing, and we like to, you know. We like to do this. So welcome back or welcome back. All right. So let's jump back in here. I know we were talking about jumping into the crypto markets. Let's see what's going on with them today. See if I can get in here a little bit bigger. Give you a nice clean little setup here. And your comments will be covered. So if you guys are wondering I will cover comments towards the latter part of the stream. But so, okay, so what was I talking about earlier? We were talking about IBM going down 25%. And one of the largest things that IBM does is that they build out back infrastructure for banks, for government, for technology on the back end, and services that it uses. That's what IBM does. And I think, you know, we might be moving into a world where commerce and even governments might start looking into using some of these blockchains because they're becoming more developed, right? Possibly, maybe not. Maybe IBM stock will be up tomorrow 40% and we'll experience a massive short squeeze of 100% gain to a $400 billion market cap. We live in a world where anything can happen. My point is it's possible, right? It's possible. So let's jump into the crypto markets. Let's leave IBM alone. Maybe I'll ping both of these articles. I'm going to read these articles after. They're not very long, but I don't want to sit here and give you guys a summer reading camp. But I will pin these articles. I think you gotta. I don't know if these are free or not. I'm subscribed here to Wall Street Journal, so yeah. Let's jump back into the crypto markets. We're getting a little bit off task. I'm kind of looking at the flood of people coming here. So what's good? What's good? So the crypto markets are coming in at about 2.22 trillion. Now, it's kind of weird because it seems like just yesterday, but it was a year ago, I think, or a year and a half ago, we were sitting kind of at this same number for the longest fucking time, it felt like. And Fear and Greed Index is down a little bit. Down meaning it's up. It's more in the green today a little bit. So people are getting a little less fearful. Are they getting a little less greedy? Probably not. Probably not. We know that greed ultimately is the demise of most human beings. And we also know that greed is not absent from any market, including crypto. So people that think people don't get greedy in IBM and skhynix and crypto, it's all the same, right? We know that. We know that the greed always is in place. Always. But we also know that some stuff is in the green today, right? skhynix on the stock side of stuff. We know that retail is watching that. We know that institutions are watching their inverse ETFs, right? They have built out mathematical formulas similar to how crypto is moving to capture a lot of that stuff. Arbitrum, layer 2 on Ethereum is up today, or up for the week. I don't know if you guys saw Robinhood has kind of introduced their own, I don't know, would you guys call it a crypto? They probably do call it a crypto, but it's really like a layer 2 thing that we need to look into a little bit more. ZCASH, guys, continues to surprise me. All right, it's up to a $9.2 billion market cap. Best cryptocurrency in my current cryptocurrency portfolio. I know somebody in the chat was asking about it earlier, so let's just jump into it, looking at the chart. And it's looking like the linear chart is kind of pointless to look at nowadays, right? I mean, it really is looking like the linear chart on a lot of these coins is pointless, right? I mean, I think once we break out here, guys, and things start looking a little logarithmic, using fancy words, I think we're going to start seeing this play out a little bit more like we've been discussing the past few years here on the channel for our portfolios. And I think for people that are invested and that have been buying these cryptocurrencies ongoingly against these log charts and seeing the very obvious opportunities rather than panicking, I think we're in for a ride. And I think it could happen a lot quicker than people think. Because like I said, ZCASH is already up a whopping 1,100%. There are a lot of coins that I think could mirror this same graph, right? And I think I'm betting on there being an outlier that crushes expectations, that just completely mind fucks even the crypto community. And I think that coin could be Zcash, right? It's sitting at spot number 11. It's crawled all the way from spot like what, 40, 50? We were looking at this coin when it was like 200 million, I think. It's $550 today, right? And I think it's gained some attention. It seems like people, I'm not on Twitter X, obviously, but it seems like to me that there could be a coin that completely crushes expectations, exceeds expectations, just completely comes out of the woodwork. And people like to see that. I know I like to see that. Who wants to, you hear that story of like the underdog, where you're like, how many stories have you watched or movies have you watched where it's like the person, the lead character of the movie, like inherits a bunch of money from his dad, and then he just buys a whole bunch of stuff throughout the remainder of the movie, and then at the end he just has a great life. It's a pretty boring fucking movie, right? It's a pretty boring movie. We all want to see the underdog kind of rise to the top, and it's always a more exciting story. And I would say in the current moment, that underdog is probably definitely Zcash, because even people in the crypto community knew that, this was an OG coin. They knew people like Vitalik. They knew people like, Charles Hoskinson. They knew people like Zuku Wilcox. They knew that Zcash was a topic of intense focus, right? Edward Snowden. I mean, you know these people, guys. If you don't know them, now you know them. So it kind of caught people off guard, I think, with the rally of 1,000%. I know I wasn't ready for it. I'm part of the Zcash community forum, and I definitely recommend going over there and checking it out. And I was really caught off guard, and I didn't think it would rise this quickly, this much, especially in a bear market. And like I told you yesterday, guys, Zcash is up 35x, 3,500% on Ethereum. I mean, could you imagine if we start seeing like talks and chatter of like Zcash creating a virtual machine or like a smart contract platform? Not saying that that's even in the woodwork. I'm just saying. I mean, can you imagine if like these topics start building on each other, if these cryptocurrencies start building off each other, if these cryptocurrencies start having momentum that is thriving off the liquidity that we know is going to come in? Let's just say I think things could get a little bit wild. Okay, and I know a lot of people are talking about, you go to most cryptocurrency YouTube, and like they're talking about the same damn stuff, the same boring damn stuff. And I will tell you guys, that ain't ever going to make anybody any money. All right, that's never going to improve the money that you're currently using. That's never going to improve your private money. It's not going to really do anything for you. Getting in on a token contract like Monad, or like what they're talking about with CNBC. It's just, it will not, it cannot, it just absolutely won't happen. So here on the channel, like I said, we got nothing to sell you. In fact, we got nothing to sell ourselves. We just like this stuff, Let's jump in here. We got Travis in the house. So let's jump through some comments now. I think that would be fun. What are you guys saying? What are you guys saying? You see my phone there? I think I'm going to get something here on the screen where you guys can have your comments kind of streamed out right there, so they're read by everybody. And I think that would be fun. I can read them a lot better. Jolly, what's good, man? So Jolly's buying crypto. Take the T01 anyway. ETFs are the safest now. GP investment. Sergio, Netflix is under. Yeah, Netflix is down too. Yeah, I mean, Netflix is down. I was looking at that yesterday. So like, if people are looking for safe investments, there's one right there. Netflix is going to keep improving. They're always these companies that are constantly innovating, these cryptocurrencies that are constantly innovating, it takes a lot of time sometimes. And sometimes these things are like a spring, right? They're spring loaded. The more innovation, the more these things become kind of whole. They spring coil down. And then at some point, the liquidity, the mathematical formulas, all the mathematics behind the order books kind of collides with this innovation. And we see this spring loaded explosion effect, right? We've seen it with a lot of stuff. C409, buy a Teep Char and TJ driving around in. Yeah, guys, we're live in Tijuana right now. So something happens in Mexico, insurance won't cover. I like to keep it on the U.S. side. I was wondering if there are parking lots I could leave it at. Yeah, you can. There's literally ones on both sides. And speaking of geo arbitrage stuff, you know, drop any questions you guys have. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just the thing with insurance, guys, is a lot of people down here in Mexico, they don't have car insurance. I mean, I think it's over half. If you don't have your FMN, which is the visa that you're required to get, it's kind of a gray area. I don't have one. All right. Okay, guilty. I don't have one. I've had one, but it expires every 6 months, and I just never got another one. If you don't have an FMN and you have Mexican car insurance and you do get in a wreck, your insurance, when they come out and they do the report, because in Mexico, you just stop in the middle of the road and the adjuster comes out to the scene and they finalize it right there. They tell you what you owe right there. They tell you what you're going to pay right there. And it's actually kind of weird because I saw a car wreck yesterday backing out of a dessert shop. But that's another story. He basically, they decide right there on the spot what you're going to pay. And if you don't have an FMN visa, it doesn't matter if you have Mexican car insurance. If the FMN visa is not valid, the insurance isn't valid as well. So I don't know what these Mexican insurance companies are collecting money for, but just FYI. So, I mean, don't get in a wreck. That's kind of the moral of the story. If you do, you're going to be going to the ATM with a cop following you, probably asking for a propina, a tip, and you're going to be paying for it on the scene. If you can't pay for it on the scene, you're probably going to jail until somebody can come up with the money to pay for the car wreck that you just occurred. And of course, are you going to be in jail forever? I don't know. Maybe you'll be in there for a little while. They'll probably let you go because, you know, they're not going to keep an American in jail for a long period of time. But like if you plow into a brand new fucking Mercedes, a local around here, you're in some deep shit, man. So don't get in a wreck. Drive careful, you know, or don't drive at all, right? Does someone living in Mexico have to pay taxes when cashing out on crypto? Yes, you do have to pay taxes on the U.S. side. Nobody's tax exempt by living in Mexico. Now, there are some pretty interesting things that are pretty cool. I don't know if Mexico is a country, but I know the St. Grenadine Islands, which I've looked into opening up a trust account there for various reasons, for various crypto trading reasons, really. But the legality of getting the permanent residency I ran into some issues. But some countries, guys, you can earn up to 100,000 plus income in that country without paying taxes. And there are some countries that if you open up a business and you use local labor as your workforce, like I said, the St. Grenadines is one country that you can do this. If you use local labor, you basically can avoid almost all taxes. So there are little various ways, but you know, we're not really that advanced here on the channel to do that yet. We're still operating from the US. So yeah, Jim, I'll pull it up for you. I like to just kind of pull stuff up and show people. I don't like to just assume that you guys are know what I'm talking about here. So what I was talking about was ZCASH up against Ethereum, 35x. So it's up to $550 on the dollar. So I'm just switching this to Ethereum. And I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. So here a year ago, let's go back to July, we were sitting at 0.01 Ethereum, meaning if I had one Ethereum, I could buy about 34 ZCASH at that time. Okay, it's just inverse of the current number, right? And that's approximated. Maybe it was 32, maybe it was 36. All right, I'm doing math on the top of my head, but you get the picture. So a year ago, if I took one Ethereum, I could buy, let's say, 32 to 35 Zcash. Those same Zcash today are worth 0.35 Ethereum. So 35 times 35x, 3,500% lands you at the current number I mentioned earlier. So today, one Ethereum doesn't really buy you 35 Zcash. It buys you more like 0.29. You see my point? You guys see the math? All right, let's jump back into it. Let's go back here. So that's the math on that, if people were wondering. My house is under contract, waiting to close to buy more crypto. It's a good time. Word. Jolly, where are you out of, my man? I forgot. What state you're out of. Are you out of Ohio? I can't remember. Can I buy Mexican insurance for my American car? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can drive your California plated car down here in Mexico. You can drive right through. Just FYI, the registration has got to be in your name. All right. If for whatever reason you get pulled over at the border and they want to check your trunk to make sure you're not bringing in anything illegal, your registration, if it's not in your name, they're going to take your car right there and you're going to have to go through a whole headache to get it back. All right. And if you can't get the registration in your name, you're not getting it fucking back. All right. They're taking it and they're going to sell it at auction down here. And Mexican government's going to take your car. The registration has got to be in your name. All right. Down here in Tijuana, it's the border-free zone all the way down to Cabo San Lucas, meaning you can drive the entire Baja Peninsula without an import permit. But if you want to go down to Puerto Vallarta, you want to drive down to Mazatlan, Puerto Escondido, Cancun, Yucatan, Quintana Roo, any of those places, you got to get an import tip permit. All right. TIF or tip. I can't remember. You can get it right there at the border. They'll issue it to you right there. You got to have that, and you got to have your FMN, and they got to be valid for any time that your car is driving in Mexico. And you got to have car insurance as well. And on top of that, expect to be pulled over quite a bit, because once you get into mainland Mexico and you're crossing the toll plazas, you're going to see federal police. You're going to see the Fuerza Estatal, State Force, the Guardia de Nacional. They're going to pull you over. They're not going to want money. The only people that usually want money are the local downtown Policia Municipal, the city police. But the Fuerza Estatal, the State Force, the federal police, the Fuerza Estatal, like the Mexican Marines, the Guardia de Nacional, those are like legit as they come, loyal government police officers. All right, they're not there to take your money. They're there to serve and protect the public. They do a great job of doing it. Shout out to anybody that's in the Mexican military or the Fuerza Estatal or the SSPC, narcotics. They're always doing a great job. I see them pulling people over out here, and they do like full drug bust, like hardcore out here. That's why it's so safe. So don't believe everything you hear on the news. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Mexico is dangerous." Guys, have you turned on the U.S. news? I mean, literally. Have you turned on the U.S. news? Literally, I woke up this morning and I saw that somebody killed somebody at a buffet line in the U.S. I mean, I don't think that kind of shit happens down here, honestly. And if you do, you don't. I'm not saying people don't die out here. I'm not saying there's not like heat in the moment crimes, where people get killed. But I don't think anybody getting shot at a restaurant down here in a buffet line. All right, I don't think you just hear all these weird things in the U.S. literally every single day. I would go as far to say the U.S. is probably one of the more dangerous places in the world, but a lot of people don't see it like that, right? All right, let's jump into a couple more comments here. But yeah, I hope that answered your question on the car stuff. And guys, throw it in the chat. If you guys got questions about things, You know, we cover a lot of different topics. It's kind of an eclectic channel, so we do like to cover a lot of different topics in the moment. So if you guys got questions, rather than setting up a consultation for $100 an hour, just ask them here. I'll answer them freely. You know, I'll get the stuff, the information out there to you. All right, Godfather, what's good? B2356, what's good? Yeah, but without the 6-month visa, the Mexican car insurance is useless. Basically, yeah. Keep in mind, like, you know, it's one thing to get in a wreck and it being your fault, but just keep in mind that, like, most of the cars on the road down here in Mexico, I think it's like 50 or 70% are uninsured. So just keep it in mind. Like, if you cause a wreck and you run into a local's car and it's like a brand new fucking Mercedes, you're gonna be having to work yourself out of that if you don't have car insurance, and it's probably not going to be pretty for you. But you got to think, like, if you see any of these chocolates on the road, any of these, you know, these cars that are just brought over here from Tijuana that are just, you know, got a 10-year-old expired tag from the US driving around, there's a lot of them, and they're everywhere. And you know, if they plow into you, they probably don't have insurance, so they probably don't have more than a couple bucks in their pocket too. So you know, it's on both sides of the argument. If you're riding around in Chapultepec, and you plow into a brand new locals Mercedes, or you're driving, you know, on one of the main free roads, and a chocolate plows into your car, I mean, it's a very different but similar scenario. So I hope that makes sense to people. Yeah, you better be sober when you're crashed. They don't take DUIs very lightly, and don't come down to Mexico, man, and drink and drive. People that think you can come down here and break the law and like, oh, I'm gonna have a few beers and ride down to the beach. There, I have seen more DUI checkpoints locally here than I've ever seen combined in the United States. Like, I have seen more DUI checkpoints in the last 2 years than I've seen entirely in my entire life of you living in the United States, by like a tenfold. I've probably seen probably close to 10 DUI checkpoints, and they don't fuck around. If you pull up, you're smelling like alcohol or weed, or you know, you look like a sketchy individual, you're gonna pull up, they're gonna say pull over here, and they're gonna say, what are you doing? And they're gonna pull out a breathalyzer and they're gonna make you blow it right there. They're not gonna give you a sobriety test or any of that crap. If they smell alcohol, there's no sobriety test and show. Like, when they do these DUI checkpoints, they put them on main roads, and there's like 10 to 12 cars that are already getting impounded. They also have a little box there that they arrest you in, and if you don't pay the fine right there, your ass is going to jail. So that's how they operate down here. They don't fuck around. And if you get pulled over by anybody other than the Policia Municipal, if you get pulled over by the Fuerza Estatal, the state force, the federal police, the Guardia de Nacional, the Mexican Marines, you're already fucked. They've already caught you. You're already doing something wrong. If you get pulled over by the SSPC, which is kind of like their drug task force down here, if any of those people are getting pulled over, do not wonder why you're getting pulled over. They already know. All right? They've already done an investigation. I see this happen all the time, guys. I see California plates getting pulled over by the SSPC. They got the guy in handcuffs. They're looking at his trunk. I also see people, I've seen them, SSPC and Guardia de Nacional, pull people right as they're going over through the border. Saw it a couple weeks ago. A brand new Tahoe, California plates. These showy people dressed in like showy clothes, looking like they're, you know, hot shots. They got like 5 cops looking up underneath the car, pulling the car apart. You know, you can't come, like, people are always reading the news saying, oh, drugs coming in from Mexico. If you try to fuck around down here, you're gonna get put in line real quick by the locals. And if you don't get put in line by the locals, that's your least of your worries. If you come down here to Mexico and you try to bring in drugs, or you try to drive around drunk, or try to exploit the women, or, you know, try to act like you're a hot shot and that rules don't apply to you, you're gonna get put in line pretty fucking quick. And you know, they're gonna impound your car. You know, if you get pulled over by the local police, consider yourself lucky. But if you get pulled over by any of the other agencies down here, you're doing something severely wrong, and you're already fucked. All right. There's no, the state force, the federal police, they're not they're not pulling you over for a traffic violation. All right. You've done something wrong. And if you think you're going to talk your way out of it and pay them, a tip to let you go, it's not going to happen. They're going to arrest you, and you're going to have to see a judge, and you're going to be locked in a local state fucking facility. That's just the way it works. Mexico is not a fucking land of come down here because you're American, you can just do whatever you want, break the laws. The laws don't apply to you. They're hardcore down here. If you try to shoplift from Walmart, thinking you're smooth criminal, I saw a guy try to shoplift a bottle of tequila at Walmart. The security caught him. They were holding him on the ground as the police were showing up. And it wasn't like one cop. It was like 7 cops roll up to Walmart and arrest this dingbat that thought he was going to walk out of Walmart with a bottle of tequila. Like, it's hardcore down here, man. They don't tolerate, like, if you look out of place, you're in trouble. If you're on drugs or you're on alcohol and you're just kind of driving around thinking, "Oh, I'm in Mexico, they don't give a fuck." If they pull you over and you look like a scumbag, you're going to jail. I was giving you an instance. The other day, I was driving to the gym, and I live over on the Tijuana beaches side, right? I live near the beach. So there's no homeless down here. Like, there is literally, when I say there's no homeless, there is literally no homeless. The only homeless you see are a few on the boardwalk. And, like, they're actually respectable. Like, there's a guy that has a little, like, he's got like this little makeshift house, and he wakes up every morning. He's got a little dog. He's like right on the wall. He like rakes the entire beach in front of his little house, right? His little shack house. You don't see like roaming drug addicts down here near the beach. There was a guy yesterday as I was pulling on the gym on the little side street. He's walking in front of the grocery store and he's like on drugs. He's obviously like spun out of his mind. He has like a towel on his head or something, or a blanket, and he's like walking around like this, like going like this. And I'm literally driving up and seeing this happen in real time. A cop, a municipal police officer, a woman cop, is driving by. This guy looks out of place. He's the only fucking homeless guy around, and he's acting erratically, kind of like walking back and forth with his head covered. She hits the sirens immediately. She starts circling around him, telling him to pull, like, get over, sit down, sit down. He doesn't sit down. A few minutes later, other cops roll up. She's just circling him. He's just walking back and forth, like, obviously on something. And the cop's just circling this homeless guy in Spanish, saying, "Hey, stop right there. Stop." I don't know what exactly she was saying, but I could kind of figure out that she was telling him, "Hey, stop moving, stand there." Other cops roll out. When I left the gym, the guy's gone. All right. There is virtually no homeless in Tijuana beaches at all. Really, the only homeless I ever see is right near the door, the border, right under the bridge right there in the corridor next to the Smart and Final, because they quarantine it. They have military presence on both sides of the street to keep all those homeless kind of intact. And there's some homeless kind of walking the riverbed, the Tijuana riverbed. And that's because Mexicans don't want to see that shit, dude. They don't. Mexican locals, like I said, if you come down to Mexico thinking like you're gonna come down here and just do whatever you want, do that on the San Diego side. You can get away with it. You can walk around San Diego in most areas on drugs, wandering around, throwing your trash on the ground, pissing or shitting wherever you want. In San Diego, you can do that. There's a ton of that. But if you come down here, especially near the beach communities, you're at, like, if you look out of place, if you look like somebody that's up to no good, you're going to jail, basically. They're not going to tolerate it. All right. I hope that wraps up the live stream here, guys. We're coming in here. Last minute finale. The grand finale is coming in. Throw in anything you want. Yeah, you better be sober when you crash. If you crash and hit somebody and you're drunk, you're in deep shit, man. I got stopped by walking by myself near Zona Norte and got searched. I had a Viagra in my pocket. And they said, "That's this." I told them it was Viagra, and they put it back in my pocket and let me go. Yeah. They don't want drugs down here. Like Mexico, like you hear about like importing drugs and all this shit into the United States. They seem to have more stricter drug laws down here. Like even when you get into mainland Mexico, like I was in Puerto Vallarta, and like you could walk in, like I saw on like a pharmacy, you could walk in and there was like a sign in the front that listed all the steroids, Valiums, you know, Vicodin, all on the, like, I'm like, I never see this in Tijuana. So I kind of was like seeing this at all the pharmacies in Puerto Vallarta. But still, if you buy those drugs in those pharmacies, for one, they might not even be real. They might be manufactured in fucking some lab or something without any kind of, you know, whatever. Because these are like little pharmacies. They don't even really look legit. I mean, there are legit pharmacies all around down here, but the ones that have these like advertisements, they're kind of just selling pharmaceutical drugs, right? Or steroids or whatever. Still, even though you can buy them on the open free market, if you start taking these things and you start acting weird, like if you take like a Valium or a Vicodin or a Xanax or something, and you start looking like a fucking like you're on drugs, a cop is gonna arrest you, man. They don't tolerate these kind of inconsistencies in people's personal demeanor. Like if you look like you're fucked up and you look out of place, if you look out, let me put it like this: if you look out of place anywhere in Mexico, public or you know in a private setting, you're going to draw very rapid attention, and you're going to be very rapidly corrected by locals, by the police, by the hierarchy of the police presence. So please, like if you come to Mexico, don't bring your fucking drug habit, don't bring your alcohol habit. If you do, lock yourself in a room, and please don't go out in public because you're going to be doing only you a disservice. Locals won't tolerate it. The cops won't tolerate it. Nobody will tolerate it. Nobody likes a drug addict, alcoholic scumbag. Nobody likes them. Mexico really doesn't like them. So I wouldn't recommend coming down here with a drug habit or an alcohol problem. You're only going to get in way worse trouble. Stay over on the U.S. where it's a little bit more laxed. The cheapest car insurance that I found in Mexico is through AAA. You got to go through the website. If you call the insurance company on the AAA side, they won't know what the hell you're talking about. It's a subsidiary or a separate company, but it's through the AAA website. You can get Mexican car insurance usually for about $100 a year. I just went to Guadalajara last month and had a great time. Rented a car downtown and some traveling. Had no problems. Yeah, as long like guys, if you come down here and you just act like a fucking normal, respectable, professional person, you're not going to have any problems. If you come down here and you want to start going to Hong Kong and, you know, snorting cocaine with strippers, you're probably going to end up in a bad situation. I mean, it's the same thing on the U.S. side. The problem down in the U.S. side is San Diego and California has laws that are so laxed. As long as you don't kill somebody or rape someone, you're pretty much good. Like you pretty much can stay out of jail. Down here is not like that. If you come down here and you stand out in a negative way and you draw negative attention and there are cops around, you are going to jail. It is that simple. Do not come down here and think you're a hotshot. Do not come down here and think rules do not apply to you. Do not come down here and think this is a lawless place. You will get reprimanded by locals, and that will be the least of your worries. If you get reprimanded by the police, you're going to have a problem. You're going to end up in a world of problems. You do not want to come down here and do things that are illegal. But yeah, if you come down here and you want to have a good time, you want to be a professional, you know, a law-abiding citizen, yeah, you'll have no issue. But, you know, this isn't California, man. This isn't the hippie laxed laws of, you know, drug users shooting up and smoking crack in the public broad daylight, which, like, if you go to California, I did a video, it's probably a year or two back, literally. I did a video walking around California, and there's literally people smoking crack and meth on a main street with like children walking by, heavy foot traffic walking by, under like a towel. Like a group of guys literally smoking there. And I got it on film. They're literally just smoking crack, meth, you know, right there in broad daylight as children and stuff are walking by. No morals, no etiquette, no nothing, man. That's not going to happen down here, okay? So I think that'll wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming down. We got a couple videos coming out today. I need to pay my rent, might be one of the videos. And then I think I felt like getting sushi today. So check out these videos. Let me know. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.